Hey, Rich,
Hey, Michael.
and welcome everybody to BitPunch Radio episode 055. Rich, on tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about Destiny 2 and some Brandon Sanderson. And how about
Yes.
some Rings of Power, which I have yet to start still. Guess we'll hear your impressions of the new iPhone 14 Pro.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
We'll talk about Immortality, some Witcher 3, You Suck at Parking. I played that Harvest Stella demo on the Switch. House of the Dragon, started Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which I've seen that has helped some Cyberpunk sales go on right now. It's kind of the top of the charts. She-Hulk, got some books to talk about. I finally started Hunger of the Gods, so I want to talk about that a little bit.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
got into manga.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we gotta dissect that a little bit. And then we got a little bit of news to talk about. So let's kick it off. What we want to talk about first?
Oh boy. Um, let's just do games. I'm
Okay.
just playing Destiny 2 right now, so
Yeah.
still playing the Witch Queen. That's still every time I boot it up, I love it. So,
Right.
um, man, just the level design in that Witch Queen stuff is just really good. Like the different puzzles and the different like little platforming sections that it has you do, and just the
Hmm.
overall like look and vibe of that like changes. It's got like a good variety to it. Um, it's just a lot of fun, and I like the way it kind of moves you through. Like, oh, you're gonna do this like single player, like playing by yourself, or you can play with other people. But then it'll be like, oh, go do this strike that's a part of the Witch Queen with like two other people.
Mm.
It's like, like a 30 or 40-minute little like raid run thing. Um and all those have been super fun because it kind of amps up all the enemies and like makes it harder, and like you're emoting at all your other teammates and like generally working together pretty good. Um it That game is just a lot of fun. I mean, it throws a lot at you. It's still kind of impenetrable in a weird way.
Sure.
Um
Is the
but it's just
story? How's the
constantly
story at this point?
the stories. I'm getting more into it. I mean, I'm sure if you've been like on that Destiny shit from the beginning, it's like maybe a little higher tier, but for me, I'm
Okay.
enjoying it. It's fine. Uh, I feel like there's more of a story to the Witch Queen than what we had played before.
Which felt
Like
very empty.
the main game, the
Yeah.
main campaign of Destiny 2, 2 or however many, way more than 2 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But no, I'm still having fun with that game. It's a really good shooter, obviously. Keeps giving me more fun guns and different gun types that you know, I don't know, like those first person shooters and third person shooters that are like looters. You kind of get one gun and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna roll with this. Like in Tiny Tina or something like that. And this kind of does what Tiny Tina does, or Tiny Tina does what it does. It gives you a lot of variety
Mm.
and kind of pushes you to use some of these different weapons. Um, and every time I use a new weapon, I'm like, oh, this is totally different than this other thing. Like, I want to use this for a little while. Um, so yeah, I'm still liking Destiny 2. Yeah.
How often are you playing with somebody versus just going in solo and letting the game team you up with people?
Uh, I would say it's like 70-30 ish so
Okay.
far in like the campaign, like 70% by yourself and 30 like it forces you to like team up.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's not too bad, and they're usually pretty short little stints, like 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. Nothing too like extended. Um, Nothing like the like 10-hour raids that are in that game or
Right.
whatever they are. Uh, so yeah, I'm enjoying that. I'm hoping to get through the Witch Queen here. I'd say I'm probably over halfway through like the Witch Queen content. Once I finish that up, we'll kind of see what happens from there. So
Like as in go back to other DLCs or
Yeah, am I gonna go back and play other DLCs? There's so much other stuff in there that I've just like barely scratched the surface on.
Mhm.
And there's not really anything coming out in like the next month that I'm really interested in.
Right.
So we'll see where it goes. I don't know. I've been having this weird relationship with games for some reason lately,
Mhm.
and I think it has to do with the PC. Where
Okay.
I come downstairs and I sit down at this desk, and I'm like, I'm gonna play a game, and then I inevitably end up doing something else
Sure.
for like 40 minutes or an hour, and then I look down and I'm like, oh, it's 9:30 or like almost 10 o'clock, and it's like, it's not worth it. I'm just gonna go to bed, you know,
It
or whatever.
it reminds me a little bit of your buddy burning you a disc of Super Nintendo games. And it's just like, here's 600 games for you to play. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like that a little bit. Like I've actually been playing more on my Xbox.
Okay, so this was a feeling that I had.
Yeah.
It's just in the last 2 days. Um, I had came across another PS5 in the wild. Like, man, I should buy that thing.
Yeah.
You know, and just talking, I'm like, no, I have this whole PC set up. That's stupid. You know, and
But
then I was sitting down here, and I'm like, I never had this problem when I just had a TV and a console. Like I sat down and I just played.
right.
And I think that like barrier to entry is part of it. The other thing that I think is part of it, that's maybe a little underrated, is like the quick resume that's on those consoles, where
Oh,
you
I
just
I
put the
use
button
that.
on and you're back right where you were in the
Yes.
game, instead of like, oh, let me click this button and then let my monitors flash for 15 minutes before so the HDR can come on, and then
Yep.
it's got to run like the anti-cheat screen for like a solid 45 seconds, and then it logs in, and I've got to like type something, and then like it's
And
like a
I know
4 minute process to get into the game.
right. Yeah, and it sounds a little ridiculous, right? Like this is a very first world problem. But my
Yeah.
Xbox has like several states of games that I could hit a button and it'll launch right into.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
have the Series S. I don't even have a Series X. But
Right. Yeah.
there's a part of me that wants a second Series S.
Well,
Cuz
see, I
like
was I was thinking about getting a Series X, and I was like, but I have Game Pass on the PC. That would be kind of silly just to have both of those. I should
sure.
just, if I'm gonna get a console, I should just get a PlayStation,
Right, you should.
and and then I could play, the first party PlayStation stuff that doesn't come out on PC right away. So I'm toying around with that idea.
Mhm.
But then up until very recently, PlayStation didn't have like a 1440p mode, and both of my monitors are 1440p, and they just patched that in. Um,
So what was it? Was it
and
just like 1080 to
it like
4K?
yeah, it like upscaled 1080, or it downscaled
Oh.
4K. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm guessing it was doing one of those two things. Um, but then I was talking to a buddy at work, and he's like, "Well, you should just get a 4K monitor and hook your PS5 up to that, and then you just have a 4K and a 1440." I was like, "That's a good idea." Because I was kind of thinking about, well, I've got like a spare like shitty TV that I could get rid of and get like a smaller like 4K, like a 40-inch 4K TV,
Mhm.
sit beside my desk and hook the PS5 up to that. It's like, I don't really need to do that. So I'm
That's
toying
how my
around with
setup
that
is
idea.
here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm toying around with the idea of getting a console.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I
That's kind
mean,
of games for me at the moment.
the only problem is with like a PlayStation is the first party stuff that is coming out there. Like I want to play the new God of War. I know you weren't so hot on that God of War. I do want to play Miles Morales. That'll come to PC at some point. I don't feel pressure to day one play anything that has came out on the PS5 so far. And like Steam right now has a PlayStation sale going on. So like
Yeah,
it's a category where there enough of their games have come out on PC Like the Uncharted series is coming. Was that you?
It was a notification.
Okay, sorry. The Uncharted series is coming out on Steam, so it's just like there's enough of those that are coming out, but it's a conversation that I want to talk about, and maybe we'll like skip to news since we're talking about gaming, because I want to talk about the 4000 series graphics cards that are coming out
from Nvidia.
Yeah, and it's but let's get through video games, and then let's like kind of talk about that a little bit, because there was a point that was going, like, people were making on the internet that kind of had me thinking about all this. So anything else about Destiny?
No.
Okay. So I played that Harvestella demo, which is a game from Square Enix that was like, hey, this is Stardew Valley-ish, even though it's a 3D world. But it's like a Square Enix type game on there. It seemed awful. I was actually looking forward to it. And it just seems really bad. Like, it's just, I have no interest. It was like from 70-ish to like, I'm good. And that Diofield Chronicles game just came out. I'm good. Reviews have been rough. Like, Square Enix has like a massive amount of games coming out, and they're all just like kind of, I don't know, they're kind of not great. Seems that Live Alive, I guess, was doing good, but I'm just like, they're talking about a lot of stuff. I'm not really interested in a whole lot of it. I'm just waiting for something to like hit. But I honestly think, like, outside of the little things like Immortality or You Suck at Parking, which was just this fun little party game I was playing with my kids, I think the rest of the year is seriously going to be Witcher and Persona 5.
Yeah.
Because when Persona 5 hits, that game is like 100 hours. And I've always wanted to play one, and it's coming to Game Pass. So it's just like perfect. There's really nothing coming out this year that I'm really excited for. So I just think that will probably be, gaming wise, outside of some indies that I'll work in.
Yeah.
My two main games are going to be Witcher 3 and Persona 5. So my wife and I played through Immortality. Do you know anything about this game?
No.
Okay. Do you know who Sam Barlow is? So Sam,
Why does that ring a bell? Is he an actor?
well, he's a game designer, and so
Okay.
he did Her Story,
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
did the game called Telling Lies. Both of those are on
Right.
Game Pass.
FMV, right?
They are FMV. So
Okay.
Immortality it's another FMV game, and I won't get into a lot of spoilers, but if you don't want to know anything about this game, which if you're going to play it, I would tell you just go in blind, skip the next couple minutes. It is about this actress that made 3 movies that were never released, and they like span like decades. So it's like the first movie that she's in is like about a cult in a church, and you can tell it's like in the 60s. And then the second movie, you can tell it's like possibly in like the 80s, and then you get like an HD version of this like last movie. All it is really is you're just kind of like, you're presented with a clip of her on like a like a late night talk show, and she's just talking about her upcoming movie, and then you gain access to like this little you can pause the clip and then kind of click on things. And what happens is, if you click on, say, her face, or something on her body, it'll take you to another clip from a movie or behind the scenes of her in it. And then, say she's wearing like something crazy on her head, you can click that object and it'll take you to another scene that object takes place in. And it's like, it's a mystery. You're trying to figure out, like, essentially why these movies didn't release. And it starts introducing, it's not scary, but it introduces this weird concept that there's like and this is the really spoiler part, but there's like clips within clips. So there's like a glitch that happens where your controller will rumble, and if you scrub the footage correctly, it'll kind of like pop you into this new scene that kind of takes place like during that time. So that's all I'll say about that. The game is incredibly graphic. It's incredibly pornographic. To the point to where like people are having sex and you're having to pause and like kind of scrub through it and stuff. There's a warning at the front. It's just like, hey, here's like a whole paragraph of stuff that you should probably be aware of, and if any of this offends you, you might want to skip this game. We played it in about 6 hours, 7 hours, I think.
Wow. Okay.
And it's just like you're kind of hopping in and out of these clips. It would have been a really fun game to play to stream it, but there's no way like Twitch would allow this game at all, because it really is like adult. It's an adult. I would say if they had to rate it, it would probably be mature or AO. But really, really cool. It has me interested. I want to go back and play Her Story. I've heard Telling Lies is kind of not the greatest, but Her Story being on Game Pass, I think I'll try to play through that with Ashley too. But that was a really cool, enjoyable experience. It's still installed because you can beat the game without watching all the clips. And so Ashley found like a little guide of like, hey, make sure you watch all these clips if you want to really understand, because you can beat the game, you can roll credits, but you may not completely understand everything that's going on. But the acting in it is very well done. And I love behind the scenes stuff. You know, like when they got the clapper out, you see them all setting up, and then it's like, okay, cut. And then you see them break character. And like the girl, you know, she was young and like an actress. So it'd be like, all right, and cut. And she'd like flash the camera or something. Like she was just having a good time on set with all these like beautiful people. So, again, really, really cool game. I recommend Immortality. It is on Game Pass. I think it's $25 if you don't have Game Pass, and I think it's worth it. All right, here we go. Here's my 4th attempt at The Witcher. We're doing it. I'm at the part where I am with all the kids, and I found I'm blanking his name, but he was in the woods, and
Johnny.
Say it again.
Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny. Okay. I met him in the woods. I fought the stuff for him. I got his voice back, and went and talked to the old lady. She contacted the 3 witches. They gave me the quest. I saved it. That's about as far as I got. That game, if you ignore everything else, that story moves. I was
yeah.
I mean, like I've gone through a lot of the Bloody Baron stuff. I mean, just ignoring everything. Now I'm level 5, so it's hard as shit. Like you really to kind of hold your own in combat, you really do have to do some of the side stuff, because I don't have a lot of money. My gear is just okay.
You're going to, because some of the quests are level gated.
Yes, they are. Out of the gate, because I have the DLC, I have a level 35 quest. Because it's part of Blood and Wine. So, but I'm enjoying that game. My wife's kind of watching me. But again, played Immortality on my Xbox. I played The Witcher 3 on my Xbox. Played You Suck at Parking on the Xbox. Played Harvestella on the Switch. My computer has not really been touched. I feel you, man. It's strange, but and I think you have the same problem with an iPad. I can't read on an iPad. There's too many distractions on there. Even though I have read some stuff on my iPad just this past couple weeks, but I get the pull of like, but there's 100 other apps that is like just as interesting as, the Kindle app that I'm reading right now. So,
yep.
Okay. Let's talk about books.
Okay. Okay.
How's Words of Radiance? How's that one
Oh
going?
boy, I finished part 3
Okay.
of Words of Radiance. I am about 70%, I think, of the way through that book.
Hmm.
I think I'm on page. Let me look here. I'm on page 693.
Okay.
And there are 1,081 pages.
Oh, that's
So
short.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
1,081. I think Oathbringer's like 13 something.
oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's a big
Yeah,
boy, man.
yeah. Um, I'm enjoying it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really good. It's kind of, I guess at this point, like classic Sanderson. I
Right.
mean, it. Now things are kind of starting to happen. I think the beginning of that book kind of starts off pretty quick, kind of picking up where Way of Kings left off. And then it kind of slows down a little bit,
Yeah.
and then it does have a little more spikes in it than Way of Kings does. I feel like, but some shits like we're ready to just fucking start going now. I can feel it. Like fucking Kaladin just got thrown in jail. Fucking idiot. And fucking him and Adolin just had an awesome fucking battle. Uh,
Mm.
and Shallan's doing some crazy shit.
What was
Um,
Shallan? I want to ask something. Shallan and Kaladin have kind of been hanging out, right?
they're not hanging out. They don't really like each other right now.
Oh, okay.
Kaladin doesn't really trust her very much, and Shallan doesn't really like Kaladin all that much either.
Okay.
Uh, Shallan's trying to like court Adolin because they're betrothed at the
Yes.
moment.
I love their
Um,
relationship.
yes. Shallan has figured out she's got a shard blade. Somehow, I don't actually remember if the book told me how she has one. I don't know yet. I don't remember. But she's obviously got these like light weaving powers. She can draw things and like change her appearance, which is a really cool like magic thing that she can do.
They get heavy in that in the third book.
She's really starting. She's like coming up with different like personas.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I really like that book. Um, I really like all the characters. I think the best parts, like the best writing in those books, is the wit parts, the Hoyd parts,
Mm.
where like all these characters are like about to go do something like super fucking important, and Hoyd just shows up and he's just fucking making fun of everybody and
Right.
giving everybody
Yeah.
a hard time. And it's like
I,
Hoyd is written so well, and like all that banter back and forth whenever Hoyd shows up, I think is some of the best writing in those books.
mm-hmm.
Um, there's some Moash is doing some fucking shady shit. I think Moash is gonna get fucking killed here real soon. Uh, he's he's into some shit. Uh, let's
I
see.
love Bridge 4. I love all those characters. I love Rock. I love
There's been like
Kaladin.
some, yeah, Rock is fucking great, man. Like the scene where Rock, like they all go out drinking and Rock is just fucking hammering down fucking beers and just telling them all this crazy fucking
Oh,
story about
yes.
these
All the,
springs
yep.
on top of the mountain.
Yep.
And Sigil is like, "Nah, you're fucking full of shit, man. They're
Yep.
not oceans." Uh, that part's pretty great. But no,
It
there,
reminds
you
me
know,
of the like the Bloodsworn, like their banter back and forth. I
yeah,
love that in books when
yeah,
it's just
thick,
like when
yeah,
all these side characters, like you don't really know a ton about them, but
yeah.
they're all just bullshitting with each other. That's just, I know authors are probably just loving writing that shit,
Yeah,
especially when it's clever.
there's a great back and forth between Kaladin and Wit about the flute. Like, dude, you didn't bring the fucking flute. Like, I gave you the flute, and you just left the flute at Sadius's camp. Like, Hoyd's giving
I don't
Kaladin
remember that.
like a hard time about that. And then Hoyd is like, well, yeah, I've always wanted to try to play a tune for a deaf man, a deaf and blind man. And then like Hoyd says like some crazy sentence, and Kaladin is like, What did you just say?" And he literally says the same thing again, like
Oh
in the
yeah.
same voice, and he's just like, "That didn't help, Wit." And he's like, "Oh, are you going deaf and blind? I really wish I had a flute."
Yeah.
And it's just, man, just bang bang,
Yep.
just bangers that stuff there. Uh,
Oh man.
there has been some shit that has really annoyed me in these books though, or in this book in particular. When Shallan and Tin, who is dead now, but was like the um she was like the thief lady that was like a con artist that was like teaching Shallan like how to be a con artist.
Hmm.
And like they finally like Shallan, like her fucking boat got sunk, and like she finally meets up with this caravan that Tin's with, and like they finally make it to the Shattered Plains, and like all and behold run into Kaladin. And the whole time Shallan's like, "Oh, I'm Adolin's fucking
Oh
betrothed." And, like, she
right.
finally meets him, and
Yes.
she's like, she acts like she's a horn eater, and like doesn't tell him who she is. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, this is stupid.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember that.
and then she takes his boots, and it ends up being kind of funny.
Yeah.
But and then there's another part that just happened where Kaladin tells Dalinar about Amaram, like, "Hey, that guy fucking tried to kill me and like
Yeah.
killed my whole fucking team and like stole my shards." And Dalinar's like, "I'll fucking look into it." And then just like 2 chapters ago, Dalinar makes Amaram the first Knight Radiant.
There you go.
Cause like, what the fuck, man? He just told you this guy's a sucks, and
Yeah.
you just made him, and you're supposed to be the dude, man.
Amaran does
Like,
fucking suck.
he does suck. He's fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And that part was annoying. I was like, what the fuck is Dalinar doing? Like, you don't get a lot of like Dalinar perspective in this book. It's not as much as you did in The Way of Kings. So it's hard to know like what led him to make that decision. You
Hmm.
know, um, I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going to happen because there's a bunch of shit happening with the Parshendi. Um, like they're getting ready to do this whole storm form thing that I think is going to be. I picked up on something that I think was a nugget, and I'm going to say it now. That way, when I finish, we can see if I'm right. And this is the rich engineering brain kicking in here. So, one of the characters was talking to like one of the like builders, like they use those soul casters to build all the buildings and stuff. And all the high storms come from one direction.
Hmm.
And one of the main characters, like the main viewport characters, was like, so why do you build them this way? And like, well, we just build up this one side because everything comes from this one direction. And it's like, so we just make this one side of the thing strong. And I'm like, something's gonna happen here soon where like the storm's gonna flip and like come from the other way. Like, I feel like that's a thing that's gonna happen. I feel like that little piece was a nugget that I was supposed to latch on to, and that I feel like that's gonna be something that happens. I don't know who's gonna do that, but there was no other reason for them to say that than that. I feel like.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, right.
we'll see.
They bring up stuff like that because they'll probably use it at some point.
Yeah, that it felt like that to me, and I kind of latched onto that. So
Yeah.
we'll see if that pays any dividends. But yeah,
Mm.
I'm kind of getting ready to hit the crazy part of that book. I'm back, kind of back in it. I was kind of down on it for a little bit, and then kind of right. It's such a long book, and it's so funny. Like I've read almost 2,000 pages of this book, and the main conflict is the war, and nothing's happened in the war.
Right. The war
Like,
itself
all
is
they've been doing is been fighting over these stupid chrysalises that none of them understand what they are, and like it's all just like a bunch of children fighting over bullshit. And I
right.
feel like that's part of the point of the whole thing.
Hmm.
And like especially Dalinar's point of view, they're all acting like fucking children over these gem hearts and stuff. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Uh, I should finish it. I'll probably finish it by the time the next episode. So
Yeah.
we'll
The
see how it ends
third
up.
book definitely leans heavy on the politics side and like setting up what's to come. So some shit happens in book 2, but it's almost like mm, book 3 is really, it really it's slow, man. It really sets
Yeah.
up stuff though. So like there's little nuggets of stuff that happens, and there's a lot of character building, but like big things that actually happen. It's not as much as Words of Radiance.
Yeah.
That one's still my favorite out of the series. I have not read Dawn Shard yet. So that I need to read that before I get into, I think it's Dawn Shard, before Rhythm of War. Did you
Yes.
read the
Yeah.
novella before you started Words of Radiance?
No, I thought that one fit in between Words of Radius and Oathbringer,
It probably
but that was
does.
Not Dawn Shard. Edge Dancer.
Yeah, so I've read Edge Dancer.
Okay.
Um and then I think Dawn Shard's the one between 3 and 4. I don't know if there'll be one between 4 and 5. I know he's working on the 5th
Yeah, I don't
book,
know.
but um
No.
okay. Well, I'm glad. I can't wait to hear your final thoughts on that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um okay, so I started getting into manga. I started reading Akira, which is one of the most popular manga out there, and I don't think it's for me.
Okay. So for ignorant me,
Okay.
explain explain the is manga just anime in written form?
It is like it's comics.
Okay.
It's what it is, but
Okay.
it's got a certain style to it. You legit read them from right to left.
Easily.
Akira, you don't. So the Akira book that I got, you read it traditionally. But Berserk that I'm reading, you start in the right top corner and work your way down the page to the bottom left. That took a little bit to get used to.
Strange.
But that's how those books are. I mean, if you go to a bookstore and you you pull one off the shelf, you literally turn it around and start it. Like you Rich Matney, the fucking book. You turn around and start at the back, start going the opposite way. That's how those books work. But um so and a lot of like anime are based off very popular mangas, and there is a podcast called Manga Splaining that I think Kotaku or Polygon One wrote an article about, and I was just like, you go to a fucking bookstore, and that shit is getting out of hand.
Oh, it's
Like,
bigger than the fantasy section in
right. And so
my
it's just
store,
like,
the closest bookstore I go to.
and so, like hitting 5 or 6 years ago, I was just like, I need to read comics. Like, comics seem fucking good, and guess what? They're fucking good. And so there's enough people that like talk about anime, like good anime and good manga. And I'm just like, okay, I need to venture into this. Like what's here? Am I missing something that I would really, really enjoy? And it seems like it. Like anime style, I'm watching the Cyberpunk show right now, which, is like a North American anime, kind of like how Castlevania, I won't say Arcane is because it's not that animation, but
Right.
it's like adult cartoons that tell these really awesome stories, like the opposite of adult cartoon, like Adult Swim is, where it's like more humorous. This is just like really cool stories, really cool worlds. Um, Reading Akira, I got about 150 pages into it and kind of fell off of it. Like it seems it's a cyberpunk story, and it seems like it's interesting, and probably if I stick with it, I'll probably end up liking it. I don't know if I will or not, because I'm reading Berserk,
Mm.
which there's a lot of Berserk out there, but this was a TikTok thing where someone that I follow that reads a lot of fantasy and science fiction, and he has a podcast and stuff. He was reading Berserk, and if you see a Berserk novel, it's just these big, thick black books, and it's just got a logo. That the logo is like on his neck. Don't really know what that means, but it's about this guy named Guts, and he just kicks fucking ass. The problem with Berserk is for most of that first book, he's just fucking murdering people, and he's an asshole. Like, he's such a dickhead. I have no care for Berserk, or for the main character. His name's Guts. Don't give a shit about him at all. He's fighting all these people. It's highly graphic. It's like, did you ever see Kill Bill?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like chops the head, and it's just a river of fucking blood. It's like, that's how
Right.
these books are. They're black and white, but it's very, very graphic. He has this massive sword, and he just cleaves people, and it's just, I mean, that artist is just fucking scribbling the shit out of all these dead bodies, and it's that part's cool. You know, if you're into that, great. I'm missing like the nugget. It's really gross. The things he's fighting is like fucking. It's legit like Elden Ring. It's like
Oh,
kind of
okay.
telling like a crazy story like that. There's these fucking bosses. All this shit is happening, but there's nuggets of a story there, but it's like I'm not getting pulled along until that last section. That last section was it got me. I'm like, all right, I need the second book. I mean, Rich, it was 500 pages.
Holy cow.
500 pages of this story that I read, that I was like, what am I missing here? What am I missing here? And then just the last 100 pages was just like,
Mm.
hey, here's some backstory for you. And I'm like, that's fucking interesting. I want to see like young Guts. I need to know now. Now I'm fucking bought in. I'm going to
Yeah.
read this manga. It seems really, really good.
Huh.
Unfortunately, the guy passed away that was writing it a couple years ago. He got picked back up. Apparently, Netflix bought the rights. So there is an anime that was already made, but they're going to stream it. Now, I got to watch it by myself. That's absolutely not something I can watch with Maximus, but it seems really good.
Mm.
So I also blew through a book called Sea of Tranquility. It's like 200 and something pages. It was one of those like, hey, Libby, it's available for you. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll grab it real fast. About 30 pages, or about 30% into that, I set it down. I was like, nah. And then I blew through the last 70%. That was a really, really good book. It is a time travel thing. So the beginning of the book is just very much like here's a story, here's a story, here's a story, here's a story. And then they kind of connect things together. Very beautiful, beautifully told, wonderful story. Apparently I should have read this book called The Glass Hotel before, another short story, but I think there's characters that are in both. So I want to read that one. That's on my to be read as well. Okay, Hunger of the Gods, 33% into it. That book starts strong, a little slow right now. Still really interested in it. I'm not liking the 5 perspectives. I really like Orca. I really like Varg. And then Elvar she's all right. She's fucking brutal as shit right now. She's taking these people hostage for good reasons. She's kind of being shitty right now, but you have to be shitty in this world. But not only like, there's so much story to that book starts, and it's just like, hey, here's what you read from book 1, which was very nice. And then they're like, okay, also here's 80 characters that you should know about. So I read all that, and I was just like, you're right. There's a lot of characters in this book, and man, do they just keep introducing people. Now, do you need to know everything about all these characters? No, not really. You don't. But with it being, somewhat in a different language through some of it,
Yeah.
and they use that language a lot, and these characters, it's it's it it's a little hard to keep up with. This is a hard book
Yeah.
to read. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it though. But not only are you getting like the crazy story that happened from these stories that happened from book 1, now you're kind of learning about Lefrika, and I don't know how if you say that. But the dragon,
Yeah.
and
Leak Rifa. Yeah.
yeah, and the fucking her brother, right? Her
Brother.
brother,
Yeah.
and who's a
Ulfrir.
wolf, yes.
Yeah.
And
Ulfrir. Yeah.
so it's like, okay, now I'm starting to understand like where the story's going, but also I just want nothing but Orca. Like she is just my favorite, man. Like, and it's ooh God, it's so gruesome when they talk about like when like the wolf blood like starts flowing, their fucking face changes shape and shit, and it's just like,
Yep.
oh my God, that's just
Yep.
that's really cool. Like they grow
Yeah. That.
fucking rows of teeth. It's
Yeah.
just
That's the cooler part of this second book is you have all these gods that are Ligrifa and Rada the rat
hmm,
and Ulfrir the wolf, and then you have like they were the gods of this world, but they're also like humans, and then they can transform into these like
yes.
giant like fucking Pacific Rim sized fucking
I actually
beasts.
I actually had to read that or like parts of that chapter again because
Yeah,
I must have missed a sentence where Lifrika changed back to a human. And so
yeah,
they were
yeah,
explaining her, and I was just like, "Where's her fucking wings? What are you talking about? She's a
yeah,
person." So I went back a
yep,
couple pages and was like, "Oh, okay." And yeah.
yep.
Now I understand they can
So all of
transform.
them, all of those gods can like transform big time, and then they all have these like descendants, children, and
Right.
like Orca is a descendant of Ulfrir, and um all those dragonborn are all descendants of Ligrifa. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have who's the other guy that has a perspective that's with Ligrifa?
Bjornar, or
Bjorn.
however you
Yeah,
say it.
Bjorn.
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 Okay.
Yeah, he was in the he was with Elvar, not the Bloodsworn, but the Battlegrim. Um, and then he
He's
betrayed
the
Battlegrim.
yeah. I was okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
He's
do
the
like that.
motherfucker.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
he sucks.
Yeah, he sucked. And they kind of set up Elvar to suck. She has a pretty good arc, I'll say.
Okay, good.
Her stuff starts to get interesting because it's gonna do the thing where it's gonna start bringing these people together. Um,
Well, we kind of had that for a minute, and then they
yeah,
split up again. So,
yeah,
I mean, Varg and Orca were together, and then it was kind of like, well, okay, we're splitting up. Leaf went with Orca, Varg went with the oh shit, the tribe, whatever.
Bloodsworn.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Bloodsworn. Yeah,
the
um,
Bloodsworn, dude. There's some fucking shit.
they're cool as
that
fuck.
The fucking Bloodsworn gets into, man. Like, um, the head of the Bloodsworn, the bear guy. I can't remember his name anymore. Um,
Gu-
it starts with a G.
yeah,
Yeah,
Guthar. Well, I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's like
not
Guthar.
not Guthvar. He's the shitty. Uh he's the shieldsman for like the queen, the
Oh,
other queen lady. He's that
oh,
shitty
that's
guy,
right, right, right.
the little wimpy guy. Um, no, there's I gotta find like a list of characters because I don't remember
There's
them all.
so many, man.
Uh,
Because when I was I was so
Bloodsworn.
confused when I
Uh,
was like going through the list, like before I started reading the book. But
but yeah, there's some stuff that happens with the Bloodsworn, and like there's some fucking big battles and shit that you've got coming your way. And I would say that Orca is definitely like the high point because she's just a fucking badass,
hmm,
um, and kind of reckless.
I like how she like
Um,
talks shit about shields.
yeah, yeah.
She's like, no,
It's
you.
funny, dude, because she's gonna interact with like some of the bigger kind of baddie characters, and like she don't give a fuck. She's just like, you want me to fight all five of you right now?
Yeah.
Like, and what's funny is like the first book talks about the skull splitter, who's like this
Yes.
like legendary warrior, and she's the fucking skull
Right,
spider.
yeah.
You find out in
I
the
just
second,
actually
the
learned
beginning
that.
of the second book.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Well, I didn't just learn it. They're starting to bring it, because like what I don't understand is they're like, hey, you need to keep this secret from Leaf or Liv or however you say his name. That
Lith,
you're
yeah.
but like they talk about it openly in front of him. So I don't understand like what they mean by that. I think I'm missing a thread
They
there.
so like the Bloodsworn in the first book, the Tainted are like a big part of that
Yes.
book,
Right.
right? And like Tainted are looked down on. Like the whole world, like the humans of the world, are trying to get rid of all the Tainted, right? And nobody knows that the Bloodsworn are actually all tainted, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
they're such good warriors, right? And so when Rifa and Ulfrir come back, and like the Dragonborns are like, yeah, these fucking assholes are trying to get rid of us all, and they're just like, Rifa's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are they trying to get rid of all of, like, they want to get rid of us? You know,
Right.
we're tainted somehow. Like, and that's why Rifa's pissed. So it's pretty. I really like that those two books.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I yeah, uh, man. Yeah, you got to keep going.
Oh,
I'm
I
excited
will.
for you to get. I'm excited for you to get to the end of that book, because it does definitely go some places.
I should be done with that by the time we podcast again.
Yeah,
I think so.
man.
Oh, and Mistborn just came in. So like
Oh,
now I gotta really fucking hammer this out. I have the audio version of it, so on my
ooh,
walks and stuff I'll listen to it. But
yes, yes. It's the same guy.
oh, he's so
Yeah,
good, Michael
it's
Kramer.
just
He's such a good
yeah.
narrator. It's just
It's just
him though,
him,
right?
man.
Okay,
Yep,
yeah.
yep, just him. But it is perfect. He's like the vibe of that world. He's got the perfect voice for. I think even more so than Stormlight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
do like the girl that reads for Shalon.
She's grown on me.
It took a little bit. They
Yeah.
also like I don't know if they've gotten better, because I listened to a lot of the first book, but they pronounce names differently.
hmm
Um, I wonder if they're getting better at that or not, or if they've come to a consensus of like it's
It
actually
it's fewer and far between. I think.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Hunger of the Gods, pretty good. Um, I wish it would focus more on the characters I really like. Um, but yeah, I hope Elvar grows on me. Really, that's the only one that I'm just not that committed to yet. Um, but we'll see where that one goes. I'm also listening to I forgot. I'm also listening to Selena Meyer's book. So you know the show Veep.
yeah.
So Veep is it's a girl that's or it's a woman that's the vice president who then in the show becomes the president. Well, they write a book in that world, like her memoir, and it's Julie Louis Dreyfus that plays that character. So they pull her in to read the book, and then they pull the character like her handler or whatever. His name's Gary. They pull him in, and he's from Arrested Development. Really, really funny guy. But if I had to sit and read this book, it wouldn't hit as much as it is to hear her in her character and then Gary's character like bitching at each other about reading this book. So it's a really interesting audiobook. It's really only for fans of the show, but I watched the show and I really liked it. But it's just funny to hear them like bitch about how long this book is, because she's a real shitty person. And I mean, probably most people in that level of politics, they didn't get there for being super nice, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just like exposes like how corrupted politics is, and then you just learn that she is just a real son of a bitch of a person. It's just been fun to listen to. So I need to finish that. I've only got like an hour of that left, and then yeah, I'll start reading Mistborn. So okay, let's move on. That was a lot. Games, books. What do you want to talk about next?
I am watching Rings of Power. I'm all caught up on that. I think there's 4 episodes
All
of
right.
that. I have not caught up on House of the Dragon yet. I think I'm 2 episodes behind now. Rings of Power is still pretty good. I think House of the Dragon is better, kind of all around at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But Rings of Power is pretty good. I mean, it's you got to see where it goes. Like it's a TV show. Like I need to see where it goes and like where it ends up. Like you don't watch like 20 minutes of a movie and then go, oh yeah, it's okay so far. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
It's not so terrible that I don't want to watch it at this point.
Do you like the Netflix approach of giving it to you all at once, or do you like the slow drip of HBO, Amazon?
I'd rather just have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Like it helps them like build it up and like market it and like
Sure.
get it out in front of people, more. I get that part.
Yeah.
But it is nice to just kind of get it all at once.
Yeah. Any Sandman?
Nope.
Same here.
I think the Andor show came out today.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Yes.
Haven't watched that yet. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, not much to say about Rings of Power. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's fine so far.
I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
I'm caught up on House of the Dragon. Still really enjoying that. We were watching the morning show. Still watching Dragon Ball Super. She-Hulk still continues to be one of the better Marvel shows. It's just real fun, funny, interesting, good story.
So I haven't watched She-Hulk, but I watched a a really stupid TikTok of like, man, what happened to Marvel? It was like what happened to Marvel, and it shows like all the like era one Marvel of like fucking Iron Man just being a badass, like Captain America being a badass,
Yeah,
and like Thor being a badass, and then it flips to She-Hulk and some other lady like twerking
yeah,
in her office,
yeah,
and it's like what? It was really funny. Like it's
yeah.
like what? How did we go from this to this? What are we doing?
Yeah, that's that was like a after credits thing that happened.
Okay.
But yes,
It looked really weird. I had no
I get
context.
it. They
It looked really
definitely,
weird.
yeah, definitely when they started 15 years ago to where it is today, it's completely different. But then if you think of like where Marvel comics have ended up going, like they're probably just as fucking weird and corny and yeah, it's really straight. It's a comedy show at this point. I mean, now there's an episode that dropped today that we haven't watched. We'll have to watch it tomorrow, but I'm really enjoying it. And fell off like the more traditional superhero style shows like Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. So I just like the weird shit. As long as it's good. Doctor Strange, that wasn't good. That was weird and it wasn't good. That was just, I don't know. There's something about it I just did not vibe with. I somehow watched Sea Beast, but I kept falling asleep during it. That is a Netflix animation movie that was made by the Into the Spider-Verse crew. Not that style. It's more of like a Pixar look. Wait. It's not Into the Spider-Verse. Maybe it is. I might be getting them confused with the Big Hero 6. I think it's the Big Hero 6 crew. Not Into the Spider-Verse, sorry. Yes, no, Big Hero 6. That's what it is.
Okay.
And it just seemed like it was okay. I'm a couple episodes into Cyberpunk Edge Runners and think that show is really, really good. There's a lot. It's just cool. Night City is a fucking cool place.
Yes.
Regardless of what you think about Cyberpunk, the video game, which is just a mediocre game itself, honestly, the fucking like city itself is the most interesting thing about that game. So
Yeah, but it also feels just dead. Like it feels so cool and then
it
also
does,
dead.
yes.
Like there is we've talked about this before. There's like some kind of like magic pixie dust missing from like that
Right.
city, like that environment that just doesn't feel
It needs more
right.
people in it to say interesting things.
Yeah.
Because really outside of like the people that you interact with in the story, that's all you get in terms of like anyway, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, it's like new characters, new concepts. Um Again, I'm only a couple episodes into it, but um I like the story they're telling, and it's got the sounds of Cyberpunk. So like the phone call, that
Oh, okay.
doom
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doom doom doom, that noise, it's got a lot of those little hooks that just remind you of Cyberpunk, in a way that like Cyberpunk sales are picking up again because of this show is being really really good. And Netflix is just treating their animation stuff super well. I mean, I fucking love Castlevania, and like this is really good. I'll think about Arcane for the rest of my life. Like they're doing such banger jobs with this. I just really like it. Yeah, you would like it. You need to check that show out.
Okay.
It's good. Um and yeah, I think that is all that I've been up to. Besides all that, it's been work, kid sports, and just living it up.
Yep. Yep. I
Ah,
did get this new iPhone. Um
yes, let's hear about this.
So I had an iPhone 11. That was my first iPhone since I think I had an Android phone for quite a long time.
Yeah, you did.
And then kind of went back to iPhone. About when we started this podcast, actually, I switched to an iPhone 11. Um, so I got the iPhone 14 Pro, not the Pro Max, not the big giant one. Um, it's an iPhone.
Yeah. Okay.
The camera's better.
Okay.
Uh, the my iPhone 11, didn't have the like this triple camera display thing. Um, I will say, and I think this is the biggest camera upgrade they've done in a while. That's 48 megapixels, so it'll shoot like
It,
ProRes and like raw
that's
photos.
wild.
Um, but I've always felt like iPhone cameras are pretty good until you need to zoom on anything. And I know some of the Samsung and like Sony phones have like crazy zoom on them. But I was sitting at like a high school volleyball game a couple days ago, and this phone actually has 2x and 3x digital, like optical zoom, not digital zoom, which is a big difference
Hmm.
in the like camera world. And I hit the little 2x button and like took pictures, and I was like, man, this is point and shoot. Like this is as good as like a what a like $400 or $500 like point and shoot camera could do like 5 years ago,
Hmm.
you know. And then like taking like the 4K 60 video and it has that same optical zoom, like it's bananas. Like it's totally bananas. And I didn't have an iPhone 13 Pro. Maybe it's just as good as that. I don't know.
I think it
But
shot raw as well.
it's pretty impressive. It is pretty impressive, the camera. Um, this one has an always on display.
Mm.
So when it's like sitting on my desk or like right here, like it's just that. Like that's off, right? And
Wow.
then when
Okay.
I hit this button, it kind of turns, well, I guess that's off. It's on sleep mode. Um but like it has this always on like lock screen basically. Um which is one of the key differentiators between the Pro and the regular 14.
Oh, okay.
Um the the whole dynamic island thing, the like notch thing that's kind of going on here like at the top,
Hmm.
like it will like notifications pop out of it, and like that stuff is actually kind of like a little neat quality of life thing. but it's just as much a gimmick.
Right.
I mean, it's nice, but it's not like a reason to go buy this phone. Um, I would say the camera, the screen is amazing. It gets really bright, like in the sunlight. Like it gets like it's so much brighter than my other phone. Like, and that's a pretty nice thing. I also haven't put a case on it yet.
Okay.
I haven't gotten the case that I wanted to get for it yet. It's shipping, and it's kind of shocking how well these things hold up for as like metal and like clanky as they are. Um, Pretty impressed with like how well it kind of holds up. Um, so we were talking about this the other day, or I think the last podcast, the focus modes that are in iOS.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of revamped those with iOS 16 that just came out, um, where you can set like a personal focus and then like a work focus. And I actually did that. So when I got this phone, I dug into that and set that up. And I have to say, it's probably the single best thing I've ever done, like I've done on a phone in years. Um, it's a really nice thing, and I think Google has like a similar thing on Android.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I like you can set like a work focus mode, change your whole home screen to like just your work apps. You
Okay.
can you can then limit like what apps can send you notifications. So like if you just want to have let's say you're at home, like you're in personal focus, like I don't want to get Teams messages when I'm at home, right?
Right.
So I have my personal focus set up like, and it's like geo like location. So like when I get home, it just flips and it flips my whole home page and brings me like my normal home page back. It gets rid of all my work apps like off my home page, and it doesn't let Teams ping me
What if I
or
work from
Outlook.
home?
Uh, you're kind of fucked. You have to
Yeah.
change it manually.
That's all right.
You need to set it to like your office.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. But then like when I drive into work and I get to my work, it flips. And so like TikTok is not on my home screen and like just all that stuff is, and like
All business all day, baby.
I don't get TikTok notifications. I think Discord is like one thing I let through so I could get your messages while I'm at work. Like you can get pretty like you can drill it down a little bit, and
Huh.
like it's got some cool like settings in there. Um that has really changed like my usage of the phone. Like I don't, because so much at work, like you pick up your phone and you're just ingrained. It's just ingrained into me now. Like I just, if my phone is sitting on a desk, no matter where I am, I'm just gonna pick it up and start doing something with it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and not having that whole different like home screen and stuff built into it to like take some of that stuff away that's distracting is a big huge help. Like it's awesome. It's an awesome feature.
I need to do
And I
that.
and I think Android has a very similar feature. I don't know what its buzzword name is, but
So I've
it
done some.
also
Go ahead.
it also changes your watch. So you can set up a watch face that is specific to that focus mode, and it'll
Oh
change
wow.
both and they can match each other. So like when I'm at work, my watch flips over and it has my upcoming meetings on it. It'll show like the weather and like that kind of stuff, and then when I'm at home, it just flips to like pictures of my kids and stuff. It's
Damn.
really it's a really well thought out um thing that I think if you struggle with like work life balance at
Oh, and
home
I do.
and like answering things off, after hours and stuff, you should look into it. It's not perfect, um, but it does give you some granularity that you can dig down into. And I really like being able to set up different screens for different focuses.
Right.
That's very,
Was
very
that
nice.
hard to set up?
No, it's really easy.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
So what I've done is my home screen is just a fun screen of really cool apps that fucking suck up way too much of my time. If I swipe one screen over, it's all business. It
Mm-hmm.
is Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, my calendar big at the top. because I'm in and out of meetings all day, being remote. So, but yes, being able to have that like push itself to my home. What about like how you can customize your notifications? Like, do you have control over that at all, or is
Yes.
it
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, you can let in like certain notifications and not let out, or like how do they, let me see how they describe it. Um let's see settings. Um yeah, so you can allow notifications from certain apps, and then you can
Okay.
flip it to silence from other apps. So
Oh,
it's like a
nice.
like
Okay.
you can toggle between like what apps you want to allow and what apps you don't want to allow. You can also allow like time sensitive notifications. You can choose certain people in
Hmm.
your contacts list that can either get a hold of you or not get a hold of you, depending on how
Wow.
you want to toggle that. And then like yeah, so you can set up like your like which lock screen you want,
Yeah,
and
that's what I was thinking about. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, which homepage you want, and it's got smart activation. Uh, yeah, and you can. It's got focus filters. I don't have any of those set up yet, but you can set up like filters for calendar, filters for messages, filters for your mail, uh, all that stuff. You can get pretty granular with it. Um,
You
but it
know, I installed iOS 16 and I was just like, "Oh, my time is a different font." And I've not messed around with it at all. So you're telling me stuff that makes me want to go in there and really play with that.
the lock screen stuff is cool. You can add widgets to your lock screen now.
Mhm.
Um, it does have a lot of customization in there, and you can set different lock screens that you can like flip between. That's pretty neat. That focus thing was a big, that's not like that's more of an iOS 16 thing than just
Right.
this phone thing. But I am liking the phone. The phone is very nice.
Good.
Um, it is still Lightning, not USB-C. I think that's absolutely insane. Um, but yeah, um, I'm liking it so
Good.
far.
Man,
But it is just
like
another iPhone.
right. It used to be a very monumental thing, like that every other year. Like, man, I'm getting the newer phone. It's going to be a bigger screen. It's going to look way better. And now they're just such small things.
Yep.
But overall, you feel you're happy with your upgrade.
Yeah, coming from 11 to this, I mean, yeah, this phone is physically smaller than my 11, just ever so slightly.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it is very similar, but it is a pretty decent upgrade. I think if you have a 13 or a 13 Pro, there's no reason to
Right.
like wait for the next one. You're probably fine, you know.
Yeah.
But I think if you're on an 11 or a 10 or like a mini or something older that you want to upgrade to, it's probably significant enough, especially the camera. The camera is
Right.
a big deal. Taking pictures of kids and stuff, and yeah.
I have an 11 Pro Max. I have the big boy. So
Okay.
it's got the three cameras and stuff on it. It's not going to be anywhere near as good as yours, but um, it does get plugged in. It does not. It'll last a full day if I don't really play with it a lot. If I play with it a
Oh,
lot, it's in the red when I plug it in at night. So
yeah. Like right now, I'm at like 54%.
right,
Like after a whole day. Yeah,
yeah, that sounds nice.
that's pretty nice. Yeah.
Got a wireless charger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Sits by the bed. Yep.
Oh, and you got the thing in the car.
Yeah, yeah. I got the thing in the car. So
Yeah,
yeah, I guess I does get charged in my car when I drive back and forth.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah. First world problems.
All right. What else we want to talk about? Oh, yeah, I want to talk about the 4000 series. And really the only thing I wanted to bring up was something. So they announced all new slate of cards.
Is it
40s,
just two? Just 40, 90,
40, 80.
40, 80s?
Yes. At least right now. And that's how they did it last time too. The 3070, 3060 kind of came out a little later.
Right.
Um They said that the 4090 is double the fucking power of a 3090. Now, what that means, I don't really know. But a 3090, what it does today, looking at what game developers are making, why do you need something better than a 3090? You don't really. And that's where people are starting to like question like yes, at some point does like these devs will start making stuff for these cards, but if you look at games that are announced for 2024, they're not, it doesn't like Elder Scrolls 6 will not demand you to have a 4000 series card. It's not going to do it. They're making this stuff to still run on a PS5. Like they do such a good job at optimizing shit that it's such a small crowd that will probably need to upgrade if you have a 20 series or a 30 series. I guess if you're under one of those and you need to like step up an incremental
I think
number as well, then it would
yeah,
make sense. But
yeah, I think this I think it's both good and bad, honestly. I think the prices suck. Prices are
yeah,
like higher than they were before. I think the fact that they released two 4080s, one's a 12 gigabyte and one's a 16 gigabyte, is really stupid. And kind of sleazy and shady in a weird way.
hmm
Like the 12 gigabyte should just be a 4070.
right.
What are you doing? Like, this is stupid. Um, but
Yeah,
like as
what'll
far
be
as
the difference between a 4070 Ti and a 4080 12 gigabyte?
yeah,
It'll
I
be
don't know.
not. It'll be one of those
Whatever.
things where
Yeah.
it's like the two Best Buy TVs sitting side by side. You won't notice a difference either one you take home.
Yeah. I think that I mean the person this could be for is somebody that's on a 2080 Ti who streams and has a 4K monitor.
Right.
Like if you want to run games at a 4K and stream at the same time, you need probably a 3080 or higher, and at this point maybe you buy that 4080. I
Right.
don't know. I think the demands of streaming, like just even on my PC, I have the 3060 Ti, and like Resident Evil Village, like I had to crank that thing down to get that thing to fucking run. Now some of that's Capcom jank,
Right.
like Cyberpunk, I had to crank down.
Yeah.
But now I'm on a 3060 Ti, not a 3080, or definitely
Right.
not a 3090. Um, but the other piece of this is, along with these two cards, they announced DLSS 3, which is only going to be available on on the 40 series cards, and the numbers, like the improvements there that are being shown here by people who got their hands on these things, of how good that DLSS 3 is pretty crazy.
God dang it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like like they had a 4090 against a 3090 with DLSS 3 turned on against DLSS 2, and it was like over 100% difference in like frame rate, like performance, like running Cyberpunk, a pretty intensive, like one of the more intensive games. But now, like, what
God.
does that mean? Like 3090 running it at like a, you know, 90 frames a second to like 140 frames a second. Like, who needs that?
hmm
I don't know, but it's there, and what you're right. Like when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, yeah, it'll be like you need a 1080 Ti to run Elder Scrolls 6, of course. But
right.
if you want to run Elder Scrolls 6 at 4K 60, then you probably are going to need a 30 series or a 20 series, a high
Right.
20 series card at least. And if you want to run it, at 90 frames a second, you're probably going to need a 40 series card.
hmm
My 3060 Ti can run Destiny 2 fucking maxed out at like 90 frames a second, no problem. But
That's
it might
nice.
not do that. It might not do that with Starfield. I don't know.
Right.
That's kind of my thing now. I'm kind of at the point now where I'm feeling like I need to like jump to like a 3080 or a 3080 Ti. Um, I think if I wouldn't have upgraded to these 1440p monitors, I'd have been fine if I stayed at 1080.
Hmm.
But I think the 1440p is just a little too much for my card to do and stream. If
Sure.
if
Right.
that's what I if if that's my goal. But I think if you have a 1440p monitor, there's no reason to get, and you have a 30 series card, like there's no reason to
Right.
upgrade to a 40 series card. Um, but I think if you are looking to get into 4K, maybe you bite that bullet now. I don't know, but there's some weird stuff going on, like EVGA, who's one of the big graphics card makers,
Hmm.
uh, like said we're not doing the NVIDIA cards anymore. Um,
Really?
so
I didn't see that.
like, yeah, there's I think there's more to that, and I don't know the whole story. I think there was uh some like bad blood between Nvidia and EVGA. So and Intel just announced graphics cards. They have a full.
Oh, great.
They're making their own graphics cards now. Obviously AMD is. So pretty a lot of competition there. But yeah, little shady. They bumped the prices up. That's kind of sucks. Uh,
Yeah,
but
the base went up
I'm definitely not the
$100,
market
I
for that.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna stick with my 3070 Ti for as long as I can.
Oh, dude, yeah, and that's a hell of a card.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you still feel like you would want to upgrade if you bought a PS5?
That's a good question because that was the other part of it. Like if I bought a PS5, do I play most of my games on it then? Do I buy Starfield? Well, no, I can't. It's not going to come out on PS5. Like
Oh no.
does that become my streaming machine and like take the load off my PC? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
In certain cases, maybe. You know,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And like
Yeah.
I wonder what like Sony's plans is with Destiny. Like, will that always remain multi-platform, or
Yeah.
at some
Yeah. I don't
point
know.
are they going to say no? Or will it be like time gated, kind of like for the first year,
Uh,
play Lightbringer or whatever on PlayStation consoles, the family products of PlayStation consoles.
right. Yeah.
Um. Okay, a couple. Well, let's run through a couple of these quick little news things I want to talk about gaming wise. So the GTA 6 leak happened. You watch any of that? You see any?
No.
I watched about 2 minutes of it and then realized, I don't think I really care. Um, did you even play GTA 5?
Yeah. Played the whole
Okay.
thing.
Oh, did you? I'd never finished it.
I really like those games, but like I don't. I,
You know,
I,
seeing a
w-
need. You'll play it,
no, I'll play it.
right?
It'll be fun.
I kind of felt the same way. I was really more interested in like, okay, what does this look like in terms of like, because I knew it was rough, and I was just like, how rough is it? And the lady didn't have a whole lot of animation to her. It looked like a fucking GTA game, so I was just like, well,
Yeah.
that's definitely that. Um, but when they finally like have their little sizzle reel reveal trailer, I'll want to, I'll obviously want to check that out. But I'm interested in a GTA 6. I just fell off GTA 5 like 8 hours into it. I never felt the to need to continue on. But I played the hell out of those PlayStation 2 ones, like GTA 4,
Yeah.
loved it, and then
Yeah.
all the GTA 3 flavors of that. Those were really fun. Um, a bunch of new Like a Dragon stuff got announced. So there's like 3 games that are coming out. There's a Kiryu spinoff. There is Yakuza 8, which has Kiryu in it, which it was looking like Ichiban was going to be like the character moving forward. You know, the guy with like the crazy, it's like a fried, um, perm.
Yeah.
Um, and it's almost like now that Kiru and Ichiban will be kind of like teaming up, which is kind of strange. It didn't seem like the direction that's what they were going to go. And Like a Dragon sold very well, so maybe they had
Hmm.
this planned all along. But I think Kiru is just such a strong character in that series. People want more of him. And then they're bringing a previously unreleased game over, um, and it's another like. It seems like they're dropping the Yakuza name and they're moving forward with calling this series Like a Dragon. So there was 3 games that were announced, and one is almost like um it's like a combat. It's more of like a sword combat game.
Okay.
That was Japan only for a while, and that one's getting released next year. And then the Yakuza 8 will be a 2024 release. And will be an RPG. Like a Dragon was. Very excited about that. I love that series to death. Can't wait to play those. I have Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom announced. Finally with a release date of May of next year. And a little bit of new footage. We knew it was kind of like going to use the same map, but now there's a lot more aerial stuff happening. Um, you know, I'm tepid on that one. I'll more than 100% play that game.
Yeah, he was like on a big hawk.
Yeah.
That's that was like the screenshot that I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that game will sell fucking crazy. Um, and then, I'm pretty hot on Assassin's Creed right now. Odyssey just dropped on Game Pass. I'm not
Oh,
looking to play that. I got to stick with my Witcher, but they announced a bunch of new Assassin's Creed stuff. There's going to be this like almost like Assassin's Creed universe. They announced the Assassin's Creed Red. I think it's code name right now, which will be set in Japan, which is one that
yep.
I'm like really really excited about. But I want to know like how this universe stuff is going to work. That's the Mirage. I'm just curious how they're going to take that.
Isn't Infinity the
Oh,
universe?
Infinity, yes. So
Yeah,
Mirage is the one that comes out next year,
correct.
and
That's
then
the one with
Red.
Mirage has Basim in it from Valhalla. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
Um,
like in Valhalla, Basim is like an older dude, and I think Mirage like goes back into like his origins in
oh, okay.
Afghanistan. Yeah.
Huh.
And from what I read about Mirage, it's gonna throw back to like the first couple games and be more
Yes.
like those.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know if I mean, I like RPG mechanics, but um, I guess we'll see. It feels like forever. I know it hasn't
Yeah.
been that
Yeah.
long, but for them to churn out one every year, and now it's like, when was Valhalla? That was 2020, right?
Yes.
So we'll essentially
Oh,
be 3 years, because I know they're doing DLC, but was it 2020?
yes. Yes, November 10th, 2020. Yep.
But yeah, there'll be 3 years between games, which they released one a year for like a decade. It seemed like.
It was a few years for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Did they put a month? They didn't put a month on Mirage. Just sometime in 2023.
Yeah, dude, 2023 is gonna be a hell of a year.
Uh, yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, so lots of stuff. I mean, Square Enix had a bit, or not Square Enix, but well, yeah, no, they announced a bunch of stuff. Nintendo had a thing, where they were announcing a bunch of stuff coming out. That's where the Zelda thing came from. Oh, another game I'll play will be the new Pokemon game. So
Mm.
that may be, I might get the double pack of that. So me and Max can play that together and trade fucking Pokemon back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is I mean there's so much other stuff, but that's all I've got written down here. Is there anything else you wanna chit chat about?
I don't think so. No,
All
I
right.
think we're good.
Well, let's switch over. Thank you all so much for listening, for watching. You can check out our past shows where we talk about the same stuff at bitpunch.tech. And you can send us an email and we'll read on the show. And you can send that to emails at bitpunch.tech. You can check us out on Twitch and Twitter at BitPunch. You can check out our archive streams on our YouTube channel at /user/BitPunch. And you can look at our newsletter that you can find at bitpunch.substack.com. All of these links can be found on our website at bitpunch.tech. And that is going to do it for us tonight. Thank you, Rich.
Thank
and
you.
we will be back in a couple weeks. Have a good night.